Hey y'all, I'm back again with another battle here. This one is against the OSC. This is a overused match, and so yeah, pretty standard match here. So without further ado, let's get on to the battle, shall we? Alright, so yeah, let's hit the play button, and yeah, I lead off with Scrub Rush, which is not a bad lead. The lead with a Scarfer with Volt Switch. He ends up leading with Tentacruel, which is interesting enough. He goes for the Protect to scout my move. I don't know if he, well, I go for the Volt Switch. And I don't know if he knows that I'm Scarfed yet, so I can't switch my move. It would be really bad if he decided to switch out into Hippowdon here, but he does not, so that's pretty cool. Get some decent damage on the Tentacruel, and yeah, now I decided to go out into, well, my Hentai, aka my Ferrothorn, and yeah, he goes for the Toxic Spikes, which is really, I don't really care much about on this team. The only Pokemon that can actually be affected by that is my Charizard once it Mega Evolves, so all my other Pokemon are actually immune to it for being either a Poison or Steel type, or having Levitate in the case of, or Levitate or Flying type. Anyway, so he goes, well, I go for the Stealth Rocks to set them up. I should probably have realized that Tentacruel obviously is a spinner, but whatever. I decided to switch out now because, yeah, stuff. He ends up getting the first burn off with Scald, which kind of just sucks completely. Anyway, he goes for the Protect again to see what I do, and I just switch out, so that's pretty cool. And I'm back in a Scrub Rush now, which, because of Levitate, I am not affected by Toxic Spikes. And yeah, he decides to go for another Protect, and just to scout out my move, I suppose, I just go for another Volt Switch. And I don't know what he's really going to do, but we're about to find out. So I have to go for Volt Switch again, since I am Scarfed. And he goes out into, no, he just stays in and takes another one, which does pretty good damage. I guess I could have went for a Thunderbolt, which would have KO'd, but, yeah, then he might have switched if he saw a Thunderbolt, but whatever. I go into Nidoking, and that gets rid of the Toxic Spikes anyway. Not that they were a major issue for my team in the first place. In fact, kind of wondering why he set them up since Team Preview is on in this mode. Regardless, I just go for a, yeah, I think I go for a Earth Power, because it's super effective against this Tentacruel. But he goes for the Protect, which protects him from it, but now I'm just going to switch up my move and go for a Thunderbolt instead. Basically because, you know, he's expecting an Earth Power, so I kind of expect him to Salamence. So that's what he does, he ends up going into, so I decided to go for a Thunderbolt, figuring that, hey, it would kill the Tentacruel as well as deal okay damage to the, you know, incoming Pokemon. So I think he might have Earthquake, so I decided to switch. He ended up switching as well, so good thing I didn't go with my first instinct and try to go for the Ice Beam to kill it, but, yeah, because the Ice Beam would have actually done a nice chunk, I guess, to this incoming Hippowdon. Regardless, I end up switching into Hentai the same turn, and this is not a great matchup for me, although it does give me another opportunity to set up my Stealth Rocks, which I'm probably going to do. But first I go for the Leech Seed just to get residual damage and healing. Because I'm burned, that sucks, but I still should be gaining a little bit more HP per turn now that I do have the Leech Seed. As you can see, the Leech Seed is healing me about 17%, while the burn is dealing 12%, and I'm also getting 6% heals. Although, after factoring his Earthquake, I am losing some HP per turn. But, oh well, I do set up the Stealth Rocks now, and yeah, that's pretty good, because Tentacruel's almost dead, and I'm hoping I can finish it off way before, yeah, it comes back in. So I go for a Power Whip just to see how much damage it would do. I mean, it's super effective, but I'm burned, and also Hippowdon has a billion defense. But yeah, I end up missing the first one, and I just decide to go for it again. He goes for a Slack Off to heal. That's not such a bad play at all. And yeah, so now he's full health again, and kind of shows me that Hentai is probably not going to be able to outstrength this Hippowdon. Eventually it will overpower me, especially since I'm burned, but yeah, that is life. And yeah, all that stuff. Anyway, he decides to switch back out, and he goes out into Mental, his Alakazam. And despite being burned, thanks to Alakazam's, like, no defense, I still end up doing about 50% to it, which is, like, really funny. I've never seen a burn. I mean, Ferrothorn isn't even known for its attack stat, really. It's just Alakazam is just so pathetic in his defense stat, I still do a nice chunk to it. Anyway, he decides not to over-predict and use the Focus Blast. A pretty good play. I lose my Ferrothorn, and that kind of sucks, but at the same time it was burned, so it really wasn't a huge loss. I end up going back into Scrub Rush here, and I decide to go for a, I think a Volt Switch, just to see what he goes into, and he goes into this Ferrothorn, his own Ferrothorn. No, I go for a Hydro Pump, which misses, so it doesn't really matter. Probably wouldn't have done that much anyway, since Ferrothorn is a special wall of sorts. So yeah, now I do have to switch because I'm locked into a Hydro Pump move, and yeah, I decide to switch out into Charizard, which takes a ton of damage from Stealth Rocks. And yeah, that sucks. And he also is paralyzed now because it decides to go for a Thunder Wave on me. I kind of forgot this thing could even learn Thunder Wave, but whatever. I decided to Mega Evolve and just go for a Fire Punch, and of course, well, he protects anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I end up getting paralyzed. I think I was just going for a Fire Punch here. So, yeah, that sucks. But now I am going to go for the Fire Punch again, figuring that it's going to deal enough damage to finish off whatever comes in. He ends up going into Tentacruel, and unfortunately, I get freaking paralyzed again. So I'm like, really? 2 paralyzes in a row. I mean, the first one obviously didn't matter, but I was kind of mad about the second. I do have Earthquake on here, so I decided just to go for the Earthquake, maybe try to get the KO on the Tentacruel. He goes for a Protect, obviously, just to scout what I'm doing, and he does see the Earthquake, so he may or may not switch here into a Salamence, but I figure I just want a chance to kill this thing. He goes for a Scald. I'm no longer weak to it, thanks to being part Dragon instead of flying now, due to my Mega Evolution, and I do survive it and then just go for an Earthquake, which will kill. So that was really excellent, because now he can't Rapid Spin hit my Stealth Rocks away again, so he's kind of stuck with the entry hazards for the rest of the match. Anyway, now he does go out into Infernape. He goes for the U-turn, which I resist but die anyway too. And yeah, he has to switch first thanks to the U-turn special effect, so that's actually pretty good for me. I mean, I do lose Charizard there, my Trogdor, but I do get to see what he goes into before first, so yeah, I should be able to get a nice matchup. Anyway, he goes into his own Ferrothorn, and I just go out into Masamune because I do have a fighting move, and yeah, I have the Sacred Sword on this Masamune, so I figured it would be a pretty nice thing to set up on. I mean, he can paralyze me, but Masamune doesn't really care much about that. I mean, its speed stat already is pretty low. And before you ask, yes, I'm aware that Aegislash is now an Uber, and this match happened before that happened, so which is why I'm using Aegislash in OU. And yeah, I've already replaced it on this team, so I think future battles you'll see that are OU from me will have the replacement Pokemon in this team, which just kind of sucks. I do like Aegislash a great deal. It's a pretty cool Pokemon, but I do agree with their conclusion that it is kind of OP, and even though I've never been able to get it to work for some reason. Anyway, I go for a King Shield, and he just goes for Protect, which I don't even know. And anyway, now I think, go for the, Sacred Sword, again, to finish this guy off. And I can't believe he actually survived. That was like, really? Even after Swords Dance, Aegislash's Sacred Sword still doesn't kill. But, anyway, now I do get the KO, and that's okay. And I was actually in defense form when he used for the Power Whip, so I guess my King Shield wasn't completely useless. So now I go for the King Shield again just to see what he'd do. If he makes contact, it'll lower his attack and all that stuff. He ends up going for a close combat, which I have no idea why. I mean, the only thing I can think of is he was predicting a switch, because obviously I'm a Ghost type. Or he forgot I'm a Ghost type, but I don't think anyone would do that. But yeah. Anyway, he has to switch obviously now. I feel safe just going for an attacking move. And yeah, I just go for a Sacred Sword, I think. Figuring that he does have to switch, but I end up getting paralyzed. So that's great. I love being paralyzed. Paralyzed turns like 100%, apparently, in this generation. Although, probably not. Anyway, so now I do decide to switch. Obviously, I do not want to take an Earthquake to the face. I go into Gyarados, predicting the Earthquake. He does end up going for it, and I get the Intimidate off, and I really made a misplay here. I have the Taunt on this Gyarados. I figured I should have actually went for the Taunt, but I kind of thought he might switch, so I go for a Dragon Dance instead, and he ends up going for the Roar, which obviously will phase me out and not let me collect my Dragon Dance boosts, which is sad, and also Gyarados will be taking another 25% when I want to switch it back in, and that's just not fun. So I end up getting roared back into Masamune, which is not the thing I really wanted to be roared into, and I do have to switch again, because I don't want to risk taking the Earthquake. Plus, Masamune really can't do much damage at all to this thing anyway, without some Swords Dances. So yeah, I go back into Gyarados, and he ends up predicting that quite nicely, and goes for another Roar, so that kind of sucks. So now he goes and roars me out into Nidoking, and I do have Ice Beam, and I just want to see how much damage it does. I think I can take one Earthquake, because most Hippowdons are not super EV trained in attack, so yeah, I just go for the Ice Beam, and it ends up doing a little bit, well, it's going to be a 2-hit KO. He ends up going for the Earthquake, and I do survive. It's going to 2-hit KO as well, but I'm faster, which is awesome, so I just go for another Ice Beam to try to get rid of this guy, the stupid freaking Hippo thing, and yeah, I do finish it off, so that's pretty nice. So his remainder of his Pokemon, he has a weak Salamence, or it's going to be weak when he switches back in, thanks to the Stealth Rocks. He also has an Infernape and a weakened Alakazam, and I figure this is a great time just to let Scrub Rush finish this all off. So yeah, he ends up going for the Earthquake. He gets his Moxie boost, but it doesn't really matter. If he's Scarfed or something, he's locked into Earthquake anyway, so it's not like it would be a problem. And yeah, I just go for a Hydro Pump. Obviously, it's going to kill unless it misses, which it doesn't. And yeah, it does kill the Salamence. and it should outspeed Alakazam, and unless Alakazam is scarfed, and obviously kill both Infernape and Alakazam. So that is a good game. The OSC, sorry, and yeah, it was enjoyable, and yeah, maybe I'm getting a little better at OU, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, now Scrubrush will outspeed thanks to Scarf and kill the Infernape, so that is game. And okay, today's question of the day was actually suggested by a member of my stream. I always have a problem thinking of question of the days, and Fulham, thank you very much for suggesting this question of the day. And I think it'll be interesting. What is the first video you've ever seen of my videos? Like, what was the first TheKillerNacho video you saw? Or the Killer Dorito? I'd like to it'd be interesting to see. I'm going to guess most of the people will answer my Magikarp sweep video, but if you do actually remember a different battle or a different video altogether that you saw first of mine and decide to subscribe, I'd like to hear what it is. Obviously, I can't really answer this question, but technically I would suppose it's my battle number 1 versus, I think the Pokemaster was his name? Regardless, that would probably be my first battle I've seen of myself. So, yeah. Anyway, leave a comment about that, and take care later.